Hi, this presentation is on comprehension and guided reading. To frame the presentation is the question, what do good readers do? And there are multiple strategies within the system of reading for meaning that good readers enact to make meaning from text. The strategies that good readers deploy operate within a metacognitive system that requires decoding skills and active meaning making. Some of the strategies that proficient readers use include asking questions, visualizing, synthesizing, making connections, determining importance, repairing lost meaning, drawing inferences, and predicting and confirming. Let's zoom in and focus a little bit on one of the strategies that good readers use, making connections. When good readers make connections, they think about what the story reminds them of, other books they have read, how the ideas relate to their own lives, and other things that happen in the world. How does making connections help us think as we read? Well, it makes the story more interesting and memorable. We can understand what characters are feeling and build empathy. Similar experiences help us know what's happening in the text. It's important to make connections when we read. 3 categories of making connections are often taught in elementary grades. Text-to-text connection that might start with the sentence frame, "It reminds me of the story blank," or a text-to-self connection that starts with the sentence frame, "It reminds me of when I blank," or a text-to-world connection that uses the sentence frame, "It reminds me of that place in blank." There's a comic strip sort of poking fun at the explicit focus on making connections that reads, "Text to text, text to self, text to world, leave it to school to take the fun out of texting." Let's think of another strategy that good readers do and focus on visualization. How do good readers visualize? By creating a movie or pictures of the text, by creating images using all of their senses, and by building meaning as they go. How does visualization promote comprehension? Well, it brings text to life. It links past experiences to the words and ideas on the page. It enhances meaning with these mental pictures and stimulates imaginative thinking. Let's focus on another strategy that good readers use, inferring. How do good readers make inferences? Well, they read between the lines, they make their own discoveries, they use text clues and prior knowledge and questions to draw a conclusion. How does inferring help comprehension? Well, when our purpose is reading for meaning, we make predictions before we read, we use clues and confirm predictions, we gain meaning. While we read, we make predictions, we use clues and confirm those predictions, and we keep the cycle going of reading for meaning. Another strategy that good readers use is determining importance. How do good readers determine importance? Well, they read to figure out what matters most, using text features and clues to figure out important information. Maybe they'll focus their attention on italicized words, or pictures, or graphs, headings, keywords. Determining importance helps with comprehension because it reduces our need to memorize whole passages of text. It helps us figure out themes, and it allows us to focus on features of text that matter most as we construct meaning. Another strategy that good readers use is synthesizing. How do good readers synthesize? Well, they combine information with background knowledge, form new pictures or ideas from pieces of information, create an original idea, see new perspectives, combine all strategies, and ask how thinking has changed from the reading. How does synthesizing help with comprehension? We can take in facts and think about them. We can learn something new and sift through information to get a sense of reading materials. We combine what I read and our own ideas into new thoughts. There are some prompts that help us synthesize as we read. I have learned that ... This gives me the idea that, now I understand that. What else do good readers do? They question. How does asking questions help with comprehension? It helps us construct meaning, enhance understanding, find answers, solve problems, find specific information, discover new information, and clarify confusion. Let's think about how we can package this together for before, during, and after reading. Before reading, readers build and access prior knowledge, connect to personal experience, develop vocabulary, picture walk, make predictions, set the purpose for reading, and fill out graphic organizers. While reading, readers question and monitor, infer, make and confirm predictions, visualize, and make connections, among others. Graphic organizers can help. Story map graphic organizers might help us keep track of narrative elements. Sequencing graphic organizers might help us keep track of the timeline of the story. And Venn diagrams can help us compare and contrast or find similarities in two different concepts. Sometimes readers can code the text to track their thinking while they're reading. They would apply symbols to parts of text to help them remember what they thought as they read that part of the text. For example, an asterisk might signify this is important, or underlining could signify a keyword or detail. After reading, readers discuss the text, connect new ideas to known ideas, and discuss the strategies that they used while reading. There are some practices to avoid when we think about what we would do with students before, during, and after reading. 3 practices to avoid are: 1, don't spend too much time on asking comprehension questions. 2, don't provide answers to questions as you ask other questions. And 3, try to avoid yes, no, or either or questions. Some practices to prioritize in place of these would be: 1, use higher order thinking questions, and 2, encourage students to generate their own questions. Guided reading is the focus of our main project in this course. Principles of guiding reading are: students do the reading in just right text, teachers prepare and support the reading, teachers focus on particular strategies. There are some critical decisions that teachers must make before they implement guided reading. Some things to think about are grouping. For example, what is the instructional level of the students that you might use to form a group? What are the particular needs of the students who might be members of that group? And what can you manage consistently? How can you use help that you have available to you? How will other students spend their time when you're working with this small group? Decisions also cluster around the idea of text selection. Would you use a bezeled reader, a leveled reader, a trade book, a novel, a reading A to Z passage, some content area passage, a book that either you or the students make, or maybe a high interest, low level reading book? Additional decisions relate to planning what you'll actually do during the guided reading lesson. We'll want to focus on building and activating important and relevant prior knowledge, getting students engaged in the book, connecting the text to the students, telling them something about the book, having them make predictions, setting a purpose for reading, focusing on a particular strategy that you'll model during the guided reading. And for emergent and early readers, think of sight word vocabulary that you would integrate as a focus. Before reading, you might examine the table of contents or other text features. You may talk about or even teach and demonstrate a strategy that they could use, and you may use something like brainstorming, idea webbing, or a KWL, which is a know, want to know, learn chart, where when you introduce the topic, they would write things that they know and things that they want to know before they read, and possibly add to it while reading. A book walk is a critical step in the before reading process. What you do during a book walk changes based on the level of the text that you're using. It's your chance to point out specific things that might be difficult for readers as they begin reading the text. Vocabulary selection is another area of focus before reading. Richardson suggests that we focus on words for which students lack decoding skills. We focus on words for which students are unfamiliar, have never heard it, and need to learn it. There are no clues for these words in the text, so we want to make it more explicit as to what the meaning is. This might be a critical word that's essential for understanding the text, and most likely would be encountered in other texts that the student reads. Perhaps it has a common root that you want to emphasize. Before you begin implementing guided reading, you have to make decisions about things that you'll do after reading. So a priority before you start implementation, think about what will your discussion questions be? What kind of strategy work will you focus on? And what sort of writing activities will you do for follow-up to extend the discussion on what the meaning-making process was? Richard's lesson plan videos are freely available on the website if you purchased the course text. There's a link through Scholastic. It's http://www.scholastic.com/ all caps here, NSFRESOURCES. So this website, when you click on it, will give you this automatic button where you'll be prompted to type the last word of the first paragraph in chapter 7 of Richard's text. That word is results, so you can type that word in, and then you'll be taken directly to a page that has lesson plan templates and videos of Richardson teaching guided reading for each of the different levels of readers. So for example, emergent readers, level A shows up first. We're going to watch videos in class of each of the levels and practice planning and implementing. Just a quick overview here for emergent readers. Things that you might focus on would be one-to-one matching, using meaning, picture cues, and initial letters to figure out words, segmenting sounds to write unknown words, using meaning or known words and initial letters to self-monitor during reading, and discussing a story with teacher prompting. The focus on comprehension here could be something like a beginning, middle, end. What happened in the story at the beginning, middle, and end. Somebody wanted, but so then, as a storyboard frame. A 5-finger retell, and that is where you're using your 5 fingers to answer the questions who, what, where, when, why, or who, what, where, when, how. Making predictions with the rationale, using a problem solution graphic organizer, or maybe a character's feelings and motivation graphic organizer. Vocabulary at this level would be saying a new word and giving a simple definition, connecting the new word to the student's background knowledge, relating the word to the text, and using turn-in talks for students to make meaning of the words and examples.